I was scrolling through my unlisted videos and I came across This Is Me Part 1. Now, I had initially planned on doing these every 12 to 18 months, but I just got busy and completely forgot about it. So what have you missed? First and foremost, I graduated. In late 2018, I barely scraped my way through WACE and came out okay. Worst part about it was my ATAR was below 70, but wasn't 69. I was devastated. Just after graduation, I started doing a little bit more stand-up comedy. I did a few shows with Drew and performed around Perth for a little bit. It was fun, but stage performance didn't really tickle my fancy as much as being behind a mic did. That internship with The Kitchen turned into a full-blown show that Drew and I did for a couple of years. Graveyard shift to breakfast to afternoons to finally settling into drive time was fun, but goddamn stressful. As for the goals I set myself, I came very close to a career in media, but the industry came knocking right as COVID hit, so I had to turn down the offer. It was also in Esperance. Fuck that noise. Hopefully there's another chance one day. I got my black belt, barely made it through the grading, and only slightly got my ass handed to me while sparring. I got into and then left a screen degree. Not before making a couple shorts though, including the piece that I'm most proud of that is currently the only public video on this channel. My god, that's a harrowing video, but I love it so much. I wanted to focus on my self-love a lot more, and I did. My mental state is a lot better than it was, and all that hatred could be boiled down to one main, blisteringly obvious issue in hindsight. I didn't have an issue being me, I just had an issue being the man I was. Anyway, that's enough about the past, so what about the now? Let me reintroduce myself. Hi, my name is Beatrix Scarlett Samuelson. People call me B or Trixie, and I'm 21. Since living in North Fremantle, I spent a little bit of time with my nana. It was a great situation at the time, but when that became unviable, I moved back in with my parents and back to North Fremantle. When they split though, I stayed with my dad in East Fremantle and spent a little bit of time with my mum in Palmyra, which was an okay situation, but after a couple years, I really needed my own space. And that brings me to here. At the beginning of 2022, I moved to Central Perth because I can't drive and it's right down the road from my work, so it's perfect. Public transport is my go-to. I don't really ride a bike as much as I used to. I did try and get my moped license, but I decided that my mum being able to sleep at night was probably a better option. I also realized while recording this video that I cannot draw a moped to save my life. My working situation has changed quite drastically in the past 4 years. I taught up until I came out and planned on taking a short break in mid-2020 and then just never went back to teaching. Same with radio. It was brilliant working with Drew for so long, but we both needed something new and we phased the show out midway through 2021. After all that fizzled out, I went to work in a call center for just under 2 years. It was fine, I guess. I learned a lot about myself and I had some incredible experiences and got to work on some amazing projects that I am honestly blessed to have been able to get my hands on. But I stopped making stuff while I was there. I was purely corporate bee, ruling the roost. She's great, but she cares about Excel too much. I left there about a month and a half ago and I went to work in retail. Much chiller of a job, and I'm now able to work with cameras and technology on a daily basis, so I've gotten my mojo back and I'm making stuff again. Social circles are still really hard to define. There's only really one person from the last video that's still in my life, and that's Drew. I had a pretty good clique about a year and a half ago, but thanks to fallouts and drama and the Department of Home Affairs, I don't really see much of them anymore. I still go out every now and then. I've been known to frequent Lucy's Love Shack, Wolf Lane, or pretty much anywhere my mates try and drag me out to. I got to a point a few months back where, as I said, all I was doing was work, so I sort of forced myself into some hobbies and I haven't looked back. I've been playing a lot more Magic than I used to. Technology has become a lot bigger part of my life than it used to be. I've been geeking out a lot more about home networking and server shit. I daily drove Linux for a bit, but I had to go back to Windows because thanks Adobe. I've started playing with film photography a lot more because I'm a hipster wanker, and I've started building my collection of film cameras. All this art stuff has just started coming back into my life, and I don't know how I went without it for so long. All I want to do is make stuff, pretty things and art. I got to see a photo of mine properly printed and blown up a few days ago, and I almost cried. While I've stopped making music, this is what I'm listening to. Much more diverse than it used to be. EDM isn't much in my life anymore, but it still pops up on a couple of my playlists. Oh, and if you haven't heard this cover of Land Down Under by Leftover Crack, you need to listen to it. It's ska and punk, and it's everything that I look for. I'm also a massive jackass, and I've decorated my apartment with vinyls. I spend way too much time on YouTube. Lots of Linus Tech Tips and the Hermitcraft crew, Auntie Donna, Dank Pods, Captain Sparkles, John Malecki, Computer File. Not as many filmmakers as I used to have, but I still watch a whack load of Van Neistat because he is the coolest person. I'm currently reading Sun Tzu's The Art of War because fuck you, that's why. And I'm slowly working my way through Will Storr's The Science of Storytelling. As for the future, I've still got a few goals that I want to get done over the next little while, and I don't know how long they'll take, but I just want to set them. In the next 12 months, I want to finish this goddamn documentary series that's been sitting in pre-production limbo for 2 years. Over the next couple of years, I want to reconnect with my martial arts a lot more. I've been training again recently, which is good, but I want to start my own school. Probably the biggest goal I have is I don't want to be in Perth in 2025. I don't know where, maybe Melbourne or London or Brighton, but just not Perth. Fuck Perth. I want to be more social. I have no idea what that's going to look like, but I want it. And I want to figure out who I actually am as well, which is where that original video came from. I was scared and I was stressed, and I really didn't know who I was or why I hated myself, and I felt the need to sort of capture it so I could look back. And now, I still don't know who I am. But that's okay. I'm 21. I don't need to have everything figured out. So I figured I'd leave you, future B, with a quote. The years start coming and they don't stop coming. Fed to the rules and I hit the ground running. It didn't make sense not to live for fun. Your brain gets smart, but your head gets dumb. There's so much to do, so much to see, so what's wrong with taking the back streets? You'll never know if you don't go. You'll never shine if you don't glow. B, you're an all-star. Live it, love it, and never stop being the shithead that you are.